Welcome back to Vortex Gallery 2021, where we are going to be watching Zerofuse versus Ayanator. This is going to be Patchouli versus Aya. Now, before we start, a little bit about the game plan of this matchup. Now, Aya is a rushdown character, and Patchouli is a zoning character. So, Patchouli wants to stay back and zone with bullets, and Aya wants to get in through said bullets and bonk. Pressure is hard here. Let's look at the pressure and what exactly this entails. So by staggering two A's like this, Ayanator is kind of testing how much Zerofuse will put up with in terms of like when he's going to escape and stuff like that. He ends it kind of safe by opting to reset into the dash forward J5A, which is usually going to result in, albeit not like a really great pressure, but it will result in like keeping a bit of momentum. This is a very cool form of reset. After the blocking, after the crush into the combo here, by ending with 6C, Ayanator is using the little spinny thing that 6C does to go for a reset. However, Zerofuse knows how to defend against this, by the way, for anybody else who might be wondering. Most of the time it's not going to be tight enough where you're going to get hit by air unblockable, but in some cases, if you just chicken block the 6C, which is to say just holding up or holding 8 or 7 to block in the air, you might get hit by an air unblockable there, but Zerofuse didn't, and it worked out very well for him. This is one of those little predictions that you see happen sometimes, well, most of the time, I should say. If you end a combo and you don't limit and your opponent can air tech, chances are you're expecting them to air tech, which is why Ayanator went for that random J5A there instead of securing himself a little bit better Okizeme. Monsoon as a weather is really cool. What it does is it makes everything kind of bouncy. So notice how Zerofuse bounces up there. You can use that to link into some really cool combos. I bet that if Ayanator had enough spirit, he would have limited that one, and it would have been really awesome. As it stands, it was a really cool link, especially to go into the 5AAA. Here's a little bit of an autopilot trick that you're probably going to want to learn if you play Aya. Notice how Ayanator intends this conversion into the air unblockable. If you are very used to using 5AAA as your only option off of 4A or 5A to just use the same move over again, you might end up building yourself a bad habit of just always finishing into some form of dial combo. Whereas if you learn to kind of evenly split between combos that start with 4A and then go right into a bullet, it will benefit you in the long run. I'm speaking from experience. I suck at these kinds of conversions because I always autopilot into the wrong link. That was a lot. A lot happened there. Let's talk about Spring Haze as a weather. Effectively, the strategy with Spring Haze all revolves around this kind of rock, paper, scissors game that pretty much all of Soku is. When you boil it down, you can think of it entirely as just this really complicated game of rock, paper, scissors. In Spring Haze, so you know how defense kind of starts with bullets are beaten by melee, and sorry, that was wrong. Bullets are beaten by grazing, grazing is beaten by melee, and melee is beaten by bullets. Well, in Spring Haze, you can graze, but then melees can also be grazed, but not really. They can be grazed in such a way that you can kind of graze one good meaty hit, or you'll run out of spirit. You can use that to kind of punish your opponent a little bit into a combo, maybe. But most players, you will see them just kind of dash around in neutral and try to drain a little bit of spirit from their opponent in a safe way. That was an exceptional defense from Zerofuse there. So I don't know if you saw, but during that 4-card rocks, Zerofuse got very lucky. There was a rock that went right over his head, and that is just pure luck. The way that the rocks go is just RNG, random number generator. It is totally random. However, that was still very well played from Zerofuse. I want to speak about this cross-up because it's really nasty. Actually, I just kind of want to see it again. It's really cool. It's a really nice, good cross-up. I like that one. That one is very satisfying to see. Let's speak of strategies for dealing with an opponent like Patchy. So she's a zoner, right? And this spell card is punishable. It's punishable, kind of. Yes, you can hit Patchy during the startup, but a player like Ayanator, who's seasoned, knows that those little droplets are still going to come down, regardless of whether Patchy is being hit or not. So, Ayanator would still get kind of punished for punishing there, which is why Zerofuse felt safe enough to just kind of use a spell card like that. This is a split-second decision that I think is really neat. Ayanator actually runs out of spirit here, realizes that he's out of spirit. Instead of just kind of running away, he jumps down to the ground instead of trying to continue his air pressure with something like a J6A. Because when you're out of spirit and you're trying to do air pressure, the only option you have is to either dash back to the ground to try to use some kind of grounded rejump combo, or you can just go for an air command normal like J6A or J8A. In this instance, Ayanator wanted to extend his pressure a little bit despite the fact that he had no spirit, which was pretty awesome. That was kind of a poetic finish to that game, because Ayanator almost did a crush combo with his 3-card Maple Fan, and then Zerofuse won the game with a 2-card crush combo with his Deluge spell card. That was nice. That was a good game. That was really close. Charged melees. Let's talk about those for a second. So the thing about charged melees is it's very much a mental pressure thing. You want to use them when they're least expected. Like in this case, mid-screen pressure off of like a 4A hit. A single 4A hit, the only thing that anybody's expecting you to follow with is another 4A, or like a 2A, or something along those lines, maybe a command normal, but the charged melee here is very, very tastefully done, and it catches Zerofuse off guard entirely. That was really well timed by Ayanator. That was nasty. That was a disgusting pressure string. Zerofuse, I feel dirty watching that. That was really kind of gross. The Satellite Sunflower, I don't think I've ever seen it that effective before. That was exceedingly well done. I think that if it had been timed just a little bit better, or maybe if there was some RNG that went better, Zerofuse might have just entirely comboed that off of that couple hits from the Satellite Sunflower. That might have gone into a real combo. I am super impressed with Zerofuse's conversions there. not all charged melees are born equal, unfortunately. Patchy's charged 3A is punishable on block, even though it's like a really, really meaty move. If you don't space it super well, it's pretty much just you get comboed if somebody blocks it right. So that's why you rarely see that move being used. I think that Zerofuse just felt incredibly overconfident after winning that round. I mean, I understand it. I feel confident too, but going for the charge 3A, I feel that Ayanator was very, very well prepared for that. I just want to highlight the incredibly difficult conversion here from the Aya Crush into the J5A starter combo. I never see those things happen so consistently unless the player is really good. Maybe like some Japanese players, an Ayanator. There's just some players, you get to a high enough level and you just do certain things that only high level players do. And this is one of them. If you convert off of the Crush into the J5A that seamlessly and consistently, that is a sign that you are doing very well for yourself. And not to get overconfident about things, but just know that you've made a lot of progress if you're doing that consistently, because it's not easy. Conversions are not easy. Combos are hard. This was a really cool string because it showcased a really, really niche, weird gap in Zerofuse's pressure, but then also the entire confidence that Zerofuse had to just use that reversal immediately. Ayanator was using 2A, he used it twice, and in order to kind of turn the pressure around and start into something of his own, he followed with a 3A, or his attempted 3A. And what that led to was Zerofuse anticipating that and then using a reversal while he's in the corner with somebody. It's a really interesting setup that happens more often than you'd think. If you are pressuring somebody and then they get like a couple stray hits off on you, they're going to want to turn that into a command normal and get you to wrong block something. So if you have a reversal, don't be afraid to use it, even if you're in a position and a spacing where you should be pressuring somebody. That was nasty. That was really dirty. That 4 card, what happened there is Zerofuse is blocking in the air, otherwise known as chicken blocking. What he's doing here is Ayanator dashes to the ground, then he jumps back up. Zerofuse is grazing, so Zerofuse isn't static. His model isn't actually fixed. If you're not moving, you're kind of in this space of limbo where somebody can get behind you, and that's why Ayanator was able to cross under so effectively there. And it was a really, really weird cross-up that probably will happen, but it happens for a weird reason. Tassofro, They work in mysterious ways. Can I just get an orb crush count on that? Like, it's 1 orb, 2 orbs, 3, 4. That is just a 5 orb crush off of 2 wrong blocks. God, I wish my character could do that. Oh, that's unfortunate. Ayanator really expected that reversal to come out this time, and he instead went for the 2B and kept his space because he saw that Zerofuse was hovering it in his hand. So it just looked like nothing happened, but Zerofuse attempted the reversal. The thing about the Elemental Harvester 2-card reversal that Patchouli has is that it is not a graze move. If you use a bullet, it will not work. You'll get hit out of it immediately. Good news for Zerofuse, though, is that the 2B will just always knock you down. It is like impossible to combo off of a 2A hitting somebody who's in the air. That was a wonderful pressure string at the end. I like that one. The score is 1-1, and game 3 will decide who goes further. Another great air unblockable combo from Ayanator here. If you are going to chicken block, you should be prepared for the consequences. If a player like Ayanator is going to be fighting against you, you have to know what they're capable of. Ayanator has shown time and time again this set that he's completely comfortable with that conversion, and he's not afraid to use it. He will react with a 4A air unblockable whenever, just for no reason, just in any time that you chicken block, he will do this. It is crazy how well he reacts to this, how well his autopilot lets him do this. Now let's speak of this conversion, because it's not quite what... It doesn't quite work that way, because the J5A hits, but I don't think that the 6B off of that 4A would have actually converted there. So Ayanator did actually play it safe there. It might have converted, I don't know. But if that had whiffed, then Zerofuse would have been able to air tech safely and just kind of get out of pressure there. This is a very safe defense option. If your opponent is doing a difficult combo, which Ayanator would know that Zerofuse is doing, you can chicken block in order to kind of anticipate that your opponent is going to drop some part of the combo, and that'll get you into a really nice space, especially if it's a loop, which is what Zerofuse was going for here. If you chicken block up and somebody drops part of their loop, as long as it's not the melee, you're kind of good to go, and you just kind of run away, and it's quite easy. It's free. It's a free escape. I want to talk about the weather manipulation a little bit there. Mountain Vapor was on the clock. However, Ayanator did not use his 4-card weather rocks. Not weather rocks, just the normal rocks. The normal kind. Not red, just bonk. The ones that hurt you. He didn't use those. I don't think he wanted River Mist to be happening. I think that that was an informed decision, because otherwise I don't think Ayanator would really be just holding on to meter for no reason there. Oh yeah, by the way, Patchy 5C, it will hit behind you. It's a really, really effective tool. I don't know if I've talked about that already, but it is the bread and butter. There is a reason why Dial C is a thing. You just use 5C as Patchy. It just works. It just works. You just win. It's great. Good move. I like that one. I hate grazing though, because I suck at grazing. It gets me every time, just like it happened to Ayanator here. A little bit of a knowledge check here. Based on the information from what's happening right here, what weather do you think Aurora is? Because I guarantee you, as soon as both of these players realize that one single hit from that J6A was a graze, they both knew that it is Spring Haze. Whenever you hear that sound, that Spring Haze sound, the grazing sound off of a melee, you know that that's Aurora Spring Haze, especially when the weather crystals come off. There are many different hints to tell you what weather it is when it's Aurora. And both players, I guarantee you, knew that it was Spring Haze at this point. Oh man, that pressure, it always feels bad to get kind of checkmated in the air like that. When you are playing against an opponent and you're blocking in the air and you have like half an orb left, chances are you're probably going to try to escape it just because, oh, if I don't escape it, I'm going to get crushed. However, this is like the oldest trick in the book. If somebody has half an orb and you hit them with like a J5A, just follow through with the command normal, because they're going to border escape, they're going to try to graze, they're going to try to get out because they don't want to get crushed. So you can just hit them into a combo instead of border resisting them. It's nice. Oh, Zerofuse won.